What's up, everybody? The last video I showed some shots of the never-ending story, and that kind of sums up me and Ruckus right now. I think most of the country's been in a drought for the last almost year, and then the eastern half just got all of that rain all in 1 week. It has been raining nonstop for a week here. So I hope you guys managed to stay out of the worst of it. I mean, it was coming over the road yesterday. I'm right next to a city drainage ditch that had overflowed and already flooded my basement, and then it started coming over the road into the backyard. And I can't help but think about every time we talk about these past cycles, it always starts out with drought and then flooding. But starting tomorrow, we got a week of beautiful sunny weather, 70, 80 degrees. So hopefully we don't sink into the swamp of despair. That was the whole thing in the movie here, is you can't let the gloom get to you or you'll sink down into the swamp. And then Kroll popped into my feed last night, and if you haven't seen Never Ending Story or Kroll, I'm sorry about your childhood, but these were the B movies back when I was a kid, and it's better than anything that I've seen recently put out. And after watching it last night, it's like somebody sat down and said, you know what Star Wars doesn't have? Horses. We need horses. Anyway, at the end of that video, I said, we better get up and start doing something or Ruckus is going to turn to stone. And Animal Chin says, dog turning into stone. You've heard the latest conspiracy news, right? And yeah, I was trying to avoid it. Once again, I keep trying to avoid these videos, so I'm just going to do the short version and hodgepodge a couple subjects together. According to the Daily Mail, a chilling declassified file reveals that aliens revenged the shooting down of one of their own crafts. For the record, none of these supposed declassified documents are the declass that anybody wanted. It's fun to gawk at the circus, but they know there's a lot bigger fish that everybody wants to see fried. I've been thinking about that, and this is what I think is going to happen. They're going to wait till 2026, till the next election cycle. And, you know, it does take time to build these cases, but they'll wait till then and then throw out some mid-level nobodies so they look good on camera right at the time they need to be looking good on camera. So that's my prediction. Early 2026, we'll start seeing indictments, and like I said, they're not going to go over that certain level. But it'd be great if they surprised me on that one. So according to the report, Soviet troops shot down a flying saucer hovering over the Soviet military unit in Siberia roughly 35 years ago. In the document summarizing a 250-page top-secret file acquired by U.S. intelligence agents, eyewitnesses said 5 aliens climbed out of their wrecked craft, combined themselves into one creature, and went kablooey in a burst of intense energy and turned 23 soldiers into stone. One official referred to the shocking battle as a horrific picture of revenge on part of the extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. Adding that this extremely menacing case proved the aliens who visited Earth possessed weapons and technology far beyond the US government's assumptions, suggesting they were already aware of the aliens' existence. The document says, for unknown reasons, the Soviets launched a surface-to-air missile at the UFO, sending it crashing to the Earth near the unit's position. According to the only 2 soldiers who survived, when the soldiers approached the craft, the 5 aliens freed themselves of the debris and came close together near the wreck. Moments later, the soldiers said the group of aliens merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. They should have called me. I know who this guy is. It's Station from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Remember the 2 guys squared off and ran into each other and formed a big ball and then came out as a big, huge station? Maybe I should have just done a video reviewing old movies. With the soldiers still looking on, the ball of light erupted like a giant flare of energy, turning 23 of the 25 Soviets into stone poles. The only reason the 2 men survived was because they were standing in a shaded area at the time of the energy blast. Testing of the soldiers showed the alien flare had somehow changed living tissue into a substance that closely resembles limestone. So, could be relatives of Medusa. Now, there's intelligence and then counterintelligence. And counterintelligence is to try to get the other guy to think anything but the truth. So to me, this kind of sounds like a counterintelligence op. But here's the deal is people see these strange craft all over the place. I've met several people who have honestly say that they have seen them. And these reports go back to the dawn of human history. I can show you all kinds of old reports. Soldiers out on the field and a big silver shield flies over. There are battles reported up in the air. This was Nuremberg in 1561, and you even see one shot down and crashed over on the right side. So there is something to this. I just don't know who they are. I think more in terms of these are the demons that people used to talk about, and that they live in hollowed out mountains and under a big, huge ice sheet down in Antarctica. So I do think there is something to this. They know more than they're letting us know. But to me, I think this report is more of a counterintelligence op. But hey, you never know. And one thing I heard somebody mention is you never hear about these like flying off into outer space, but you do hear about them going underwater and into Mount Shasta and stuff. And, you know, if this is some kind of being like the Sumerian Kings list that lives for tens of thousands of years, odds are they're still alive. It's unlikely that all of them passed in the last 2,000 years. Moving on, here's something you don't see every day. This was that big one that hit Myanmar. And I bet this was one heck of a ride up at 20, 30 stories above ground. I remember going up in the St. Louis Arch as a kid, and that thing sways back and forth in the wind, and it's a really eerie feeling when you're that high up off of the ground, just swaying in the breeze. To the left here, you see the one building that was built by a foreign entity, let's say. It was under construction, so luckily it wasn't just full of people. They say there was only about 20, 30 workers inside. I'm not buying that. But all in all, it's really some amazing engineering here there's a lot of high rises here. And for the tofu dregs construction to be the only one that went down is pretty impressive. Speaking of that foreign entity, this is something I've been watching for a couple weeks now, and it kind of seems to be growing more and more steam. Over in Ainache, everyone is realizing that there's a lot of people missing. The cities are empty, the villages are empty, and there's supposed to be 1.4 billion people, and a lot of the internet sleuths have been on this over there, and now they're estimating like 600 to 700 million. And I gotta say, I report quite a bit on the latest internet buzz and how once people start paying attention to some specific area of the world, then it just snowballs and everybody adds more and more to it, when in reality it's just now it's got people's attention, so they're looking for it. Like here, we'll do an experiment. When was the last time you saw a frog? Okay, you're gonna see a frog in the next week now. Honestly, I don't remember the last time I saw a frog, so let's see in a week how many of us see a frog. But most of the time, that's how I feel about the latest trends. This one has some legs to it, though. So let's start out with this from a couple weeks ago. In the past, we used to see a massive influx of people returning to Beige after New Year, but this year, a large number of homes are up for rent and the streets are empty. Have you noticed that fewer and fewer people are living in Beige now? At work, hardly anyone is a local. Another person, where did the 8 million Beige go? This is what Beige looks like now. This is a three-way intersection where I used to do business. And, you know, if you guys have never seen how crowded these cities were a few years ago, it was just shoulder to shoulder all day. But now, during rush hour here in a major traffic hub, it's eerily quiet.
Or they might have returned to their hometowns in the countryside. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the smaller cities and also in rural China.
Look at Suzhou. The streets and alleys used to be crowded. Now hardly anyone is around. It's nearly deserted. The malls are empty. The plazas are empty. And even the street vendors just stare at each other with no customers. Even laborers are disappearing. I thought it was a problem just here, but I was shocked to learn that it's the same everywhere. I asked around all these different places. They all have fewer workers and laborers. What's going on? Where did everybody go? Okay, so I recorded these clips like 2 weeks ago. I just set it aside as a curiosity to see how it progresses. But a few weeks ago, this isn't just a couple people. I mean, there are probably thousands and thousands of people putting out videos like this. And, you know, some people are in the first tier big cities, some people in the second tier cities, and everybody's just noticing that, wait, this isn't the way things used to be. Now, over there, when something like this starts trending, the double C and a P get on it really quick to control the narrative. People started noticing this around Lunar New Year. beginning of February. And at first everybody just said, well, they must have all gone home for the holidays, back to their small towns, which normally that's like the most crowded street holiday of the year.
Are packed in tightly, struggling to find space under the weight of their luggage. Their tired faces show signs of exhaustion. Just a month after the 2025 Lunar New Year, the wave of people returning home is even stronger than the usual holiday rush. The Beijing-Shanghai high-speed rail, once a prime route with every seat filled, now has entire cars with no passengers. This shift signals potential challenges in the economy. Migrant workers and university students, after searching for jobs in multiple locations without success, are now on their way back home. On March 17, Xinhua News reported that over...
So they show one packed train car and say, see, things are better than they've ever been. These are all help wanted ads from the local factories, by the way. And they claim that 15 million are going home to start businesses.
See, this is the state of our rural areas now. This land, which used to be so fertile, is now abandoned. No one's farming it anymore. These are the old houses from our village. The young people, the elderly, and the children have all moved to the city. But now, for those who love agriculture, come to our rural areas. We have free houses and free land to farm, as long as you're willing to work. I believe you won't have any problems with...
So there's kind of a 3-card Monty game going with where everybody's supposed to be, but then you go there and they're not there. And now there's a lot of internet sleuths really looking into this stuff. I mean, they've even gone through and done the table salt consumption. People started using Grok AI in various ways to calculate different areas of the economy, and estimates are coming in at like 600 to 800 million. That's like half of what it's supposed to be. Here's downtown in the financial district where there should be tons of suits and ties walking around. And there's just video after video of people out there saying, hey, where did all the people go? So I'm usually skeptical of these kind of things, but this is something I've been keeping up with for a few weeks now. And there are a lot of people reporting this. A lot of people are speculating that the CV-19er was a lot worse than has been reported. And, you know, you never know. There could have been something different going around over there than what we got over here. Stage 1 of everything was just shut everything down. So I don't know what's going on over there, but there's people in small villages, in medium-sized towns and cities, and in the big cities all saying the same thing, and saying the same thing for months now. So it's definitely curious. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you on the next one. Static.